George Ondek Show, and I have Councilman Dave Pagenelli with me from Yorktown. How you doing, Dave?
How are you, George?
And I have you in a different role tonight.
Good to be here with you.
I would have you in a different role tonight.
In a way you do, absolutely.
You're a Yorktown councilman.
Yes.
But this is a new year and a new election process. And a position is opening up in Yorktown within a year called Yorktown Highway
Superintendent.
Superintendent. Right. And I understand you're interested
and never call us a DPW.
In running for that position.
Yes, I am.
Dave, what do you feel qualifies you to run for that position?
You know, George, I'm sure I'll get a lot of pushback with respect to my opposition will say, well, you know, he doesn't know how to go out there and dig ditches, and he doesn't know how to do this and that. And, you know, when I became a councilman, there wasn't much I knew about town government. I had come from a service background, had my first restaurant when I was 19, ran a restaurant successfully for 32 years.
32 years?
Right.
You directed people in a restaurant?
30 to 40 employees, depending on
wow.
the business.
So you were able to direct them, tell them their various jobs,
right.
Make sure they did a good
Logistics,
job.
Personal management, and I think that's, you know, my feeling is I love my job on the town board. I've had a great learning curve. I think this particular board has done wonderful things this year. We came in with a historic tax cut, so clearly we know how to manage money, you know, and I think that Highway has just under a $5 million budget, and wow. That's a lot of money to allocate and to manage.
Do I understand you were the biggest vote getter in last year's election, or the biggest voter ever for councilman? In
our percentages, yeah, our percentages were pretty high. People wanted to change, and you know, they wanted somebody who would speak up. And I always maintained that I would speak for the, you know, silent majority. I wouldn't cave to the vocal minority. And you know, just even recently, we had an issue with respect to fluoridation, and we have to make a major investment in fluoridation. And people came out and spoke in favor of it, and you know, respect their opinion. I respect everyone's opinion.
Right.
My only contention with respect to that was no one should be forced to do anything.
But you want to stay on this issue of highway
right.
superintendent tonight.
Yes, well, I do.
Now, Eric DiBartolo has been your highway superintendent. He's decided not to run.
Correct.
But in many ways, I understand he's been a very excellent highway superintendent.
Oh,
because he's been out there hands-on.
Absolutely.
Do you know how to drive a truck, Dave?
Yeah, I do know how to drive a truck, George. I've driven heavy dump trucks. I have a Class A CDL. I have a hazmat endorsement. I drive tow trucks. See, everyone thinks this was just like an inspiration for me that came suddenly.
No.
The fact that Eric decided not to run this year certainly opened the window of opportunity. But after leaving the restaurant, my first order of business was to get my CDL. I wanted a career change. I no longer wanted to be in the restaurant business.
What is CDL?
A commercial driver's license. And there's various grades. There's, you know, a B and a Class A. Class A, you can drive anything. You can drive heavy construction equipment with trailers. You could drive tractor trailers. You know, so I'm capable of driving everything except a school bus.
And directing people who drive.
Well, that's more important, you know. And like I said, people will say, well, you know, he hasn't been out, you know, shoveling snow or plowing snow. You know what? I plowed snow for 12 years at my restaurant.
Just a second. Wait a second. The last 2 years you've been councilman in Yorktown.
Year and
right?
2 months.
Have there been any snowstorms or any sand?
Well, we had that little hurricane.
And do you have a command center that you go and
we
volunteer
do.
at
and
during a storm?
We communicate with our at-risk communities. It's all about logistics, personnel management, and being a unifier. If you can take, unfortunately, the position of labor relations manager, which Eric DiBartolo had, and he did a great job. When a new administration came in, not ours, the previous administration, they did away with that job. Now, Highway still manages the entire workforce with respect to any snow events. So pretty much for the course of the winter, the highway superintendent has access to the refuse and recycling employees, has access to the Parks and Recs employees, and has the logistical responsibility of getting 200 miles of road done, 400 lane miles of road done in the town of
As
Yorktown.
you know, Dave, I am not a resident of Yorktown,
No, you're not.
but I go there quite often.
You do. You come
I
and
go
see,
to
do
the
our
JV
openings, and
I go to the JV
Yep.
Mall. I do your business openings.
and we were
ribbon
just
cutting
talking about that. We said
ceremonies.
that it would be a great thing if we could do a show just about business openings,
That
you know,
would be
and
tremendous
and
to
focus in
promote
on it. Bring the
new businesses
right, bring
that come
the
into
bring the businesses
Yorktown.
in. Let the various board members and the supervisor sit in, and even do it in Peekskill. Let the members of the Peekskill council sit in.
Well, I think they have that already, and they're
Oh, they
pretty,
have-
they're a pretty well closed club, so we won't discuss.
All right,
Peekskill
but you know
tonight.
what? Then you do it without them.
Right, but let's get back to highway supervising. I come into your town, I'd say 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. I go to the JV Mall. I meet a lot of the veterans there from World War II, and I learn a lot from them. And in the wintertime, I haven't seen a better town with roads plowed and organized the
Right,
way
and that's
the
when there
trucks.
That's why
And
when there
that's
are
what
events.
your main job would
Right,
be.
and that's why when there are events, News 12, Channel 11, they all
Right.
come to
The
Yorktown
Examiner.
to see how it's done.
Right.
Because
Oh, many times Eric DiBartolo
Yep.
has been on News 12, and
constantly.
they're always
It's going to be
asking-
it's going to be a very hard act to follow.
Yes.
You
And
know,
how
certainly.
many years was he in as
When his term is up, I believe it'll be 18 years.
18 years? Wow. That is a long time. And can you devote full time to this position?
Well, I think that's
because
the-
I understand this is a full-time position.
George, I've worked between 70 and 100 hours my entire life, a week.
Really? Well, that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
restaurant business.
So, you know what? For me, this would be, and the reason I want to do it is right now, working with the Teamsters and doing
you
towing,
work with the Teamsters, okay.
it takes me out of town for the majority of the day.
You're doing a job for the
Right.
Teamsters.
I'm
okay.
driving heavy construction
Plus being
equipment.
a part-time
Well,
councilman, which is really
Which
a
is
full-time.
the better part of 40. If you want to
observed-
do it right, it's the
I
better part of
observed
40
one
hours
your
a week.
fellow councilman, Nick Bianco. He could be anywheres, and he gets phone calls all
yeah.
the time. Can you help me out with this? I got a pothole there.
George, I
Can
had
you
to go, I
help
went
me?
out after Sandy. I went out to at least a dozen homes. Went people who couldn't get their sticks to the curb, got missed in a pickup, and I knew Eric was busy, had a lot to do, so I went to Parks and Recs, took a dump truck, and went out. Went out with my wife one day.
Wow.
Had people who were elderly, people who had operations, people who, had issues, reasons they couldn't take care of this, and that's constituent response. And highway is the most important department in town, and it's very important that we maintain the relationship between highway and the other departments, and we, most important, maintain the relationship between highway and the town board, because I know, being on town board, that 80% of the constituent problems that I get are related to highway. Not that they're not doing a good job, but it's, well, there's a pothole in my street.
I was
or,
just going to bring that up.
Or,
Do you know the difference between hot patch and cold patch?
do I know the difference between hot
Yes.
patch and cold patch?
Yes, you do.
Yes, yeah.
And you know
And
when
I
that
know,
has
I
to
know
be
how much
applied.
I know how much a ton of blacktop costs right now.
And is rock salt better or calcium chloride?
Well,
and do you get
See, I have these little
comparison
secret
prices?
agenda things that I'm holding close to my, chest.
No,
That
but
there's
this
my
is
holding my
important.
cards close to my chest,
This is
because I do have
important.
some ideas that I feel, certainly things that we had done previously, things that we were innovators with, like the brine that we had put down on the roads, as opposed to salt on the roads. It was far more environmentally friendly and far more cost effective.
Now, what
way.
is brine? Is that alcohol?
Brine is a
mixed in
mixture.
Beer.
Yeah, the
and
problem
whiskey. And
no.
no.
we had done it for years. We had a little problem. We were mixing the mixture up at the water department. We had a little problem, but now, I believe that we can do it at our highway facility up on the hill, and we can go back to that. I don't see any reason we can't do that. And it'll save us 50% on salt.
In the city of Yonkers, where I used to work many years ago, directing DPW trucks, by the way, from something called the Mayor's Help Center. People would call in during emergencies and say, our roads need to be plowed on Underhill Street, or we have a pothole on Elm Street. Do you envision something like that for the town of Yorktown?
I think that we
Or-
have tremendous constituent response. I know.
Where do people call during a snow emergency?
We have our emergency, EOC, Emergency Operations Center.
So you do have an emergency operation.
Oh yeah, during Sandy, it was.
And
the
that's set
first
up
couple
on
of
your-
days. It was almost 24 hours.
People
a
are
day.
notified on the government channel?
Well, they're
then?
notified in a multitude of ways.
Oh, okay. Emails?
Yeah, emails.
That's the
you know.
modern stuff. I got to
But
get
the
more up on
problem
that,
we
Dave.
the problem we had seen was when you would email people when in something like Sandy, which was a once in 100-year storm,
Yep.
that you're out of power for 7 to 10 days.
Wow.
Is ridiculous, and that's.
Do you think we should get the PSC after these private electrical companies to get power restored quicker than they're doing?
I think that I think that they did as well as they were capable of doing, considering the
wait.
magnitude of the storm.
Wait, Dave, you're a union man.
But listen, what?
Dave, you're a union
Yes,
man.
but listen to me. Certainly, there's room for improvement. All right,
Dave, when a major electrical company cuts back on its workers
Right.
and brings in contract workers from all over the country,
Canada,
it takes days,
Missouri.
weeks, time.
We had a prime example. We had a situation at the Country House, which is an at-risk community. It's the elderly, 70 residents there. They didn't have a generator. So they took the residents from there to the Hotel Thayer, from the
Wow.
Hotel Thayer up
At
to
West
Saugerties.
Point?
Yes.
Wow.
Then their time ran out there, and they went up to Saugerties.
Who did that?
The operators of the Country House.
Oh, okay.
But in the interim, they had reached out to us, and I had reached out to Senator Ball, and Senator Ball was able to locate a generator in Texas.
Isn't he a great
Senator
legislator?
Ball, and I think that's another thing that we should touch on. But Senator Ball was able to locate a generator in Texas. 2 drivers drove straight through and got it here within 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. As
He's
it turned
really-
out, it got here the day
like
that the power
you
came
and
back
Nick
on.
Bianco, he's really hands-on
Yes.
with his constituent service.
And
I
that's
can tell
something
you
I
that.
think that also I bring to the table. My relationship with Senator Ball, my relationship with Assemblyman Katz. There's money out there that
can be brought
that can
into
be
the
brought to
community.
Yorktown in terms of paving, and in addition to the CHIPS money, there's SHIPS money, which is state highway improvement funds. There is money that comes from the state as well. So
Yeah, like Peekskill's having a hearing tonight in Cortland tomorrow night with the state DOT with putting a barrier in on Bear Mountain Extension because a lot of people have been killed in head-on collect.
and it's important to have that reach to be
Yeah.
able to
And
bring
they're gonna
everybody to the
fund that.
table.
The state's going to fund it, $2.5 million. It'll cost, but it'll save a lot of lives.
Well, a lot of the problems that our constituents have, we can't cure in highway because some of the roads are state roads.
So you work very close with Senator Ball and Mr. Katz, our
Yes.
assemblyman.
Yeah, I think that's a big
important.
advantage.
That's important.
I think the budget experience, the people managing experience, the logistical experience of running 4 parties. People may say, "Oh, so what?" If anyone knows the restaurant business, running 4 parties at a time,
Wow.
all different parties, and having 40 employees working for you at any given time and making it all happen correctly.
Is that the
That's not easy.
Conservative Party, the Republican Party, the Tea Party, and the Right to Life Party?
All of those parties.
You like all of them parties.
I like
huh?
all of those
You want
parties.
everybody to come to your party
Well,
and endorse you.
Well, I would like that. That would be very nice.
But you're thinking very seriously of running.
Oh yeah, I've interviewed.
You've announced
And yep,
publicly already?
you know what? My only my concern is a lot of the constituents elected me to be a legislator. All right, and the question begets itself. Well, isn't that a more important job than being highway superintendent? It's not a more important job. Highway superintendent, you see how important a job that is when your streets aren't clear and you can't get home from work or you can't get out of your house.
Right.
I think like I said, so much of constituent response is related to that, and
Will
that's
you-
really my
As
forte. I like
highway
that.
superintendent, will you give the same amount or more constituent service as you're giving right now
More.
as councilman? Sure, it'll be a
More.
full-time position.
Right. I'll be able to.
Yes.
Personally, Eric's been awesome with me when I call him. I have a constituent problem.
Right.
He's always been extremely responsive.
right.
But I'll be able to do that on my own. So my constituent response personally will go up like 500%.
How about in purchasing items? Do you
Like
feel
bid
you'll
specs
have good expertise in
I think I've
purchasing?
learned pretty much
From being a
from being
councilman.
from being a councilman, doing a $50 million budget that we came in with a historic tax cut.
Yeah.
In the
I
history of
always hate
Yorktown.
to throw in my own home city, but we got increased 3.8%.
Oh, and didn't you lay people
and
off?
we had 29 people laid off, Dave.
Well, we came in with a historic tax cut, 1 to 1.25%, depending on what district you're in, and we hired 2 new laborers.
Wow. And I hear
So
you
we didn't
bought-
lay off a
and
single
I hear
person.
you bought a new truck too recently.
Oh, we're always buying new trucks. Actually, the water department came yesterday and they wanted to get 2 Explorers. And I said, well, why are we getting 2 Explorers? And they said, well, because when we go out to do meter reading and things like that, we don't need to drive an F-350, which is a big diesel guzzling vehicle.
Uh-huh.
Very conscientious on the
Sure.
part of the head of the water department.
Right.
Then my question was, well, then why can't we go to an Escape if that's what we're using it for and save
Right.
some fuel? Or why can't we
Right.
consider a hybrid?
So you're
Why
still
can't we
looking,
consider energy efficiency with respect to our lighting and things like
so
that?
you're still looking to save the taxpayers' money?
Yes, you can save this much money by going from an F-350, which is up here, to an Explorer. But if you go to an Escape or a hybrid, you're saving the taxpayer that much more money.
Wow. So you'd still be looking to save the taxpayers' money, plus keep the streets as clean as they've been.
If I could maintain the level of service that Yorktown residents have been used to and bring my level of what I consider my expertise is constituent response,
And
to
being
that
able to
department
motivate
and
your
to
workers.
bring that department together with the other departments as Eric has done. I think that hands down I'm the best candidate
Now,
for
you're
that
not
position.
daunted by, I've read in the Peekskill Examiner, not the Yorktown Examiner today, that you probably have 8 other people who are looking for the same position. Are you?
Probably more than that. It changes every day.
Why do so many people want that job?
I guess, George, that's not for me to comment on.
I know.
I guess everyone has a reason.
But you feel you'd be the best qualified person.
I feel that
with your people.
my lifetime, the majority of my
experiences.
lifetime, has been dedicated to helping the people of Yorktown. When I had my business, the charities that I, supported, the, things that I had done, being a member of the board of the Chamber of Commerce.
Wow.
I think that the vast overall picture of me is the best possible scenario for me to be in Yorktown. For instance, today I had to go and tow 2 vehicles. So I
Right.
went all the way down to Oakhurst, New Jersey.
Wow.
Right? I was out of town from 9 in the morning till we were doing this show late because I
Yep.
couldn't get here in time.
8,
That's why,
8:30.
I didn't get
And
so
I held
dressed
the
up.
time open
You did,
for
thank you. But I would like to be in Yorktown for people. When I finally was able to check my phone, I had 24 messages.
Wow.
Yeah.
And people think being a councilman's a part-time job.
Well, you know what my situation was? When I left the restaurant, for a period of time there, I was going to school to get my CDL, so I was around a lot. And people got used to having me around a lot.
Yeah.
And I want to be around a lot.
Dave, that's important. To once you're elected to any kind of a office, not to be up there and the people are down here.
No.
I mean, to be out mixing with the people, like Nick Bianco does at the JV Mall.
Yep.
Every Saturday he comes
Nick's a
there.
master of constituent response.
Right.
And I have learned a tremendous amount from him.
And that's why he's been elected for
Yep.
16 years.
That's right.
And it's good to have him as a mentor.
Yes.
I don't know how you feel about
Oh, I
that.
do feel that way. I feel that Nick is, I found Nick, he tells it like it is. You know what? And he has been great with
I
constituent
found he's
response.
like you too, that during a rainstorm or a snowstorm, people without power, and State Senator Greg Ball too, by the way.
Yes.
They're out there with the people. They aren't like a past supervisor you had, who was, I won't mention her name, but she was at the JV Mall before the election. Then nobody ever saw her again, buying coffee.
It was interesting, and when we were handing out the dry ice over at CVS in town, and I have this favorite black sweatshirt. It says, my wife got it for me like a year and a half ago when we were really struggling at the restaurant. It says, tough times never last, tough people do. And one of the little pictures in the big spread about Hurricane Sandy clearly showed the message, and it was Terrence, myself, and Councilman Patel. And I got to tell you, George, no less than 25, 30 people came up to me and said, Dave, I saw your picture in the paper and I love that sweatshirt.
And another thing, you're down to earth. You're there. Look, tonight you don't have a shirt and tie on this important show, but that's okay.
It is an important show, and it's in no way reflective of you.
I know,
it was the fact that I was driving for 7 or 8 hours today, so
and
when I got home, I just threw something on quick.
For something else, I'm going to thank you again. You took time out of your busy schedule to come down to Scarsdale to my mother's 100th birthday.
Yeah, your mom's
and
birthday.
Give her a proclamation from Mr. Grace and the council.
Yes.
You did it.
I did
with
it,
your
yeah.
busy schedule that you have.
Well, that's certainly something worth acknowledging.
And another
Yesterday, Terrence, myself, Michael Grace, and Judge Lagonia, we went and visited the veterans over at the Montrose VA. And
That's
it was
very
a
nice.
wonderful experience.
And me being a disabled veteran, I'm going to salute you for doing that. Them guys who are there for the rest of their lives due to stress injuries and other kind of injuries, it's sad.
Well,
by the way,
I think we brought some. You don't want to be pompous, but I think we did bring some laughter there because we're sort of a fun group.
It's always good to make fun.
And
make fun of yourself.
The one fellow smiled, and the woman who was taking us around said, I got to get a picture of that because he hasn't smiled in 3 years.
Some people in public office take themselves too serious, But
you know what
can
people
be down
forget?
to earth.
And I think this board realizes it. We're public servants.
Right.
We're servants.
And
I come from a service industry. I haven't been in the public sector my whole life.
Another example I'll give to the people. You, Nick Bianco, and Senator Ball won some senior development in Peekskill. There I go with that Peekskill.
That's
again.
all right. You can talk about
in Yorktown, lost power during one of them storms. Yes. You were there for them, and you made sure that that power got put back on. Till you stayed with the seniors, from what I understand.
Yes.
Am I correct on that? Mm-hmm. What's the name of that development? I think 90 people lived in it.
That was Beaver Ridge.
Yep, Beaver Ridge.
My responsibilities during emergencies are Beaver Ridge and the Country House. And then during Hurricane Sandy, Terrence Murphy and myself also were the liaisons for the people up at Jefferson Village.
I like Terrence Murphy. I have to have him on my show
you
more.
You should definitely have Terrence on
if he's going to be running for something this year.
He's up this year, and, Terrence has done a great job. He's a real people person, and Michael's done a great job, and Nick's done a great job. I think everyone's done a good job.
In 2.5 weeks, I'm going to have to say to Terrence, the top of the morning to you, Terrence.
That's right.
And tip an Irish coffee with him.
Well, you think he celebrates St. Patty's Day?
Some Irish soda bread and corned beef and cabbage. Well, we don't want to advertise his place.
Well, that's okay. You can advertise his place.
I don't know.
That's all right.
Public access, you're not
all
really
right. You can't advertise his place.
But it's good to have... my wife is half Irish. That's why
I'm half Irish.
Are you really?
Right. My mother.
And your name is Pagenelli?
But my mother was Eileen Galvin.
Oh.
See?
And my wife is Gail Blessing, which came from, I forgot her grandmother's name, but they were from Ireland. County Down. Do you ever hear of that?
I have not. No. I could lie and say, oh, yeah, I've heard of that. That's not my style, though.
Yeah.
But this, I really appreciate you having me here, and
we only have good people on.
And I think we really need to, proceed ahead with respect to, a show dedicated specifically for new business. I mean, we've been blessed in Yorktown. We have lots of new businesses that are opening. You know, in the last year, we've probably had 25 new businesses
You
open
know,
at least.
I don't discriminate, Dave. I believe in giving everyone a chance on my show. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, if they're good people. If I feel they're people for the people and who will help, you know, better a community. And I feel you're one of the people
Thank you.
who are doing that. And I didn't
I've been
know,
trying.
Dave, I didn't know you when you were running. But again, I'm all over Yorktown in many places.
Yes, you are. You've been at
And I've
you've been at a number of grand openings. You were at Nothing to It, and
Yeah, Nothing
we're
to It,
mentioning
fine.
places again.
That's
not good.
okay. Not until
You
we were
and
there.
Sheer Designs.
Sheer Design. A new one just opened, Anthony's.
Yes, and Sophia's just opened.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So
And
your
You know,
business
a wine and martini bar. So we actually in Yorktown,
business is booming and
because
starting
we have spent the last year, this particular board, getting away from that impression. I'm not saying it was so, but that impression that Yorktown was not business friendly.
And you have a good Chamber of Commerce
We have an
president.
awesome
What's
chamber,
his
Joe
name?
Visconti.
Joe Visconti.
Yeah, Joe
and
and
a guy
Roxanne.
named Tony Grasso who's on the board.
Tony is, you know,
You're
Tony's
surprised
another
I know these people.
Well, Tony's another mentor
He's a
to me.
mover and a shaker.
You know,
and he knows what's happening.
he's someone whose
in York.
opinion I
He's
value
like-
very strongly.
He's like me in Yorktown. He goes to all the council meetings, makes sure everybody's on their
And
toes.
you never realize how old Tony is.
He's about 39, like
Right.
me.
No, he's about 42.
And I go to all the city council meetings in Peekskill and keep people on.
I was at a couple.
You saw it.
I saw it in action.
And
Very colorful.
colorful. Well, your meetings are quite colorful too. I
Yeah,
hear
but
some
we
of the-
don't need police to protect
okay.
us.
Well, we don't want to get into Peekskill politics now. We're here to see if you're going to be the next highway superintendent.
Well, I hope so. You know, and I hope that the people that supported me for town board won't be disappointed in this.
I don't
but
think they will.
But we'll see it as an extension of me being in town 24/7 and being available
hands
for them.
on. So again, Dave Pagenelli, how can people reach you and how can they help you become highway superintendent?
Well, if anyone, you know, needs to reach out to me with respect to, you know, problems in town, being councilman, my cell phone number is 438-3547, and, you know, call me anytime between 9 and 11.
9 in the morning.
9 in the morning and 11 at night.
Wow, that's a lot of hours. That sounds
Yeah.
like a full-time job to me.
Well-
and that's what you'll be doing as highway superintendent.
I'll be doing more than that, I'm sure.
Oh, you even have to work around the clock during
Yeah.
snowstorms.
Well, yes, you know,
But
I mean.
Dave, our time is up.
George, thank you
Dave
so much.
Pagenelli, I wanna
Appreciate
thank
the
you
opportunity
again.
to be here. You're always
Wish
a
you
gentleman.
good luck.
Thank
Wish you
you.
good luck.
And I'm looking forward to doing another show
May
together.
the best man win.
Yes, absolutely.
Peace be with you, and happy St. Patty's Day
Thank you.
to
Happy St.
everybody
Patrick's
out
Day to
there.
you.
Okay,
And happy
thank you,
St.
Dave.
Patrick's Day to everyone out there.
And good luck, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you.
May the best happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.